So I got an upgraded trolling motor for the tracker with spot lock Minn Kota Terrova. These bolts come with just a completely plain Jane trolling motor on them with no spot lock or remote or anything. So we're going to go ahead and get this original one pulled off and get the new one installed. Alright, first off, there are plates on both sides of this old motor that allow you to get to the top of the mounting bolts that go down through here, but we got to get to the bottom of them because there's nuts on the bottom of them. And I believe this piece right here comes off. I think you just got to find the screw heads in here. I feel something. Yeah, right there is one. It looks like they're just Phillips screws holding it on. So let me unplug all this stuff and the foot control and the power and get it all the way. And see if we can't pull that plate off there. There's a number 2 Phillips. Perfect. Feels like there's one right here. Yep, there it is. I am missing my little, I got a little impact pair to this. And of course it's in my truck and my toolbox, and my wife is gone with the truck right now, so we're stuck to using a drill. Okay, I'm guessing there's probably some on the bottom too. Yeah, it feels like it. This might be there's a little angle here. This might be yeah, there's one. So that piece, this is just a bent piece that goes like that. There's one in the middle. So it looks like just 3 across the bottom. I put a 3 in there, which is a little fatter tip, and that saved it. Alright, so there's 4 bolts up there holding the old one on. I see they got one of them in the whatever that is, fiber or wood. I'll probably put a huge washer on that one. I'm hoping these 4 holes line up with the new trolling motor mount. I would hope Minn Kota would have that standardized so I don't have to drill new holes, but we'll see. I'm going to get those out and get this old motor off here. Okay, let's get these sides off here so we can get to the top of those bolts. Those are just big Phillips, it looks like. So that bolt way out in the end there. Yep, that's a that doesn't have a nut on. That's a sheet metal screw going through way out in the tip there. And then this one's a sheet metal screw. So these 2 sheet metal screws, or bolts if you will, There's one here and there's one right in the tip of the bow. I'm going to reuse those, providing they come out okay. Those are 3/8. Let's see how this goes. Yeah, I was afraid of that. I wish I had my impact. But I'm afraid these are going to break off, because that's what these cheap screws usually do. And you can already see this one's bending. It's exactly what it's going to do. Oh, look at that. We actually got it. There's another one of them in the bow here. That one came right out nice. And now the remaining 2 screws have nuts on the bottom, and the nuts are 11 millimeter, which is a little odd, but so be it. I still got that number 3 Phillips in here. Let's see, that seems to fit those really good. And I'm going to get 11 millimeter on the bottom. Those are lock nuts, so pretty simple stuff here. One more and we should be loose. It's kind of awkward because I'm trying to reach way under here and get this wrench on here and turn it at the same time and do the drill at the same time. Be a lot easier with 2 people. There, we broke her off finally. Yeah, they must have cross-threaded the, you can see that's bent too. They must have cross-threaded the bolt on there from the factory. And this is now loose and off here. Okay, new motor, pulling side plates. Well, I'm just looking at how much wire is in the crimps here. And I don't like it. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it that this one's smaller. They're both 12-volt trolling motors, but with the iPilot and stuff going on, this one's is going to be consuming more power. And as clean as it would be to use this, I think I'm going to try to run this wire down under through the boat and back to the battery, which may be challenging. We'll take a look. So I got some good news. I'm not going to use that plug that plugs into here because I don't want to use that smaller, I'm guessing it's 12 gauge wire, but fortunately Tracker is feeding this plug with 8 gauge, which is actually bigger than the wire on the new trolling motor. I don't know if you can see that, but that's 8. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut these probably right about here. I'm going to leave this plug intact. I'm going to cut these right about here, and that will leave a little wire here. This will be dead. This plug will be dead, but I won't be using it, and I'm going to splice these into the motor, the wire coming from the new trolling motor. I do have this thing which has a hole in. I maybe could use that. Maybe I'll just run them through there. That'd probably work too. Anyways, yeah, that is super good news, and hats off to Tracker for not cheaping out and actually running heavy wire in case somebody would ever want to upgrade their trolling motor someday. So that's cool. Another thing I wanted to cover while I was here, I unhooked my horn, which is these two wires right here. And I was digging around the wire harness here, and there's actually an extra set of wires coming up here that aren't used for anything. And if you get confused, the horn ones, the horn wires, are labeled with a little H at the end of the number, and this unused wire says 14558FBG. I don't know what BG is, but it wasn't hooked to anything. I'm guessing it goes back to the underneath the dash somewhere, so that could come in handy for something. Who knows, if you ever want to add something or whatever. Let's see if I can get one screw in here, just to kind of help hold it here in place for a second. And so the two screws on this side line up perfectly with the old holes, and you can see that's spaced out nice. So I got to get a nut on the bottom of this without this tipping off here. So let me climb up in and do that quick. Kind of hold down on it here while I'm doing so. So that's lining up. And I also have one over here lining up, which was one of the sheet metal screws. Let me grab the one I was going to reuse. If I can get that in there, that would be enough to hold that, just so I can let go of this and figure out what's going on. I'm going to end up drilling, looks like probably one hole. So I'm going to put this screw, this sheet metal screw right here. I am reusing that bent one. We'll see how it goes. And I'm going to put this one in the bowl like it was, very tip one. Looks like this back hole may not line up with the old, which is kind of weird because all the other ones did. But anyways, like, wouldn't you think from the factory they'd kind of like have the same kind of screws, and instead of using a flathead and then a pan head? That's kind of weird. But anyways, I'm going to go in my stash of nuts and bolts and see if I can find a longer version of this. I think probably an inch broke off of this. Alright, went to the hardware store and got a couple longer screws. I'm going to start with a super long one. That's got to go over here. So what's happening here is I can't get that straight because this cable is in the way. It looks like I could probably take these two screws loose down here and move that just a little bit aside so I can get the screw in there straight. Okay, well, that's out of my way. And that's through. We'll get that tightened up and stuff before I put this back. Alright, I found a couple long drill bits. I think this one's going to be a little small and this one's a little big, but I'm going to try this one, maybe bore it out a little bit if I have to. Okay, we're gonna go with this bigger one, which is not bigger than the hole in the aluminum, which is cool. We'll be just fine. I'm hoping this goes all the way through. There's a rib underneath there, and I think it's hitting right on that rib, but we'll see here in a second. Perfect. I'll show you. So that screw I just drilled is right here. See, this is like a rib and it goes up there. So this is a thicker spot. So it goes through the wood and the metal, which I really like. It's actually going to hold really good there. And then I'm going to take this super long one out and replace it with a little bit shorter one. This thing back in. This has got a little square on it, like it clips into something, but I see nothing it clips into. I think it was just loose under the cover. And the reason this is held on there so beefy is because of this stretchy coiled wire is connected to it. That's why it's got this big heavy bracket thing holding it on. There we go. And somehow I found that screw immediately in the grass. Okay, the mounting is complete and it's solid. Now for the wiring. Chamfering bit. Oh yeah, takes a sharp edge right off that. Yep, that'll work just fine to run that wire through. Probably have to take these through one at a time. Make sure she's nice and flat. Alright, here's some yellow crimps, and they actually go right on these, but it is the limit in size, I can tell that. So, yeah, there it is. I gotta cut these just a tad shorter. Just a little bit. And be careful, these are live. All right, you can really feel the wire smashing inside them when you do that. I'd love to get this shrink wrap over here, but it's never going to happen. So I'll probably just tape it, do some electrical tape on it. On second thought, I don't really want that hanging from that all the time. I'm cutting it. We're wiring it into this. Always got to check and make sure this isn't the horn one. Yep. So I'm just going to leave enough so it's easy to work with out here. We good. Can't wait to try this thing out. And I'm gonna have to get a depth finder to plug that into. I have a Lowrance, but I don't know if that is a universal plug or not.